Go. I'm going to start with my wife, Susan. Why can't women put this book down?
Well, sir, I had the opportunity to read this lovely piece of literature yesterday as homework.
Yeah.
And I was able to get through the first book, and I think that it's a story about a young girl who's swept off her feet by a billionaire who has fantasies about being in love.
He does. She does.
She does.
So it's a swept away fantasy, ladies. Is that it?
It's definitely at the backbone is a love story.
Is it a love story? Romney, is
absolutely
it
a love
rape
story.
fantasies or love stories?
It's not a rape fantasy.
It's
I will
a
not,
rape fantasy.
Drew,
Not
I'm not
raped.
going to let you go there.
Go
this
ahead.
is not a rape fantasy. These are two people who are agreeing to have sex with each other, tie up, and they're going to do a little bit of whipping and tickling, but that's consensual. You can't call that rape.
Look, wait,
You don't want to tie Susan up?
Well,
that's a subject matter for a different thing. But what I tell you, if and when I do tie her up, I don't give her a contract, as this character does, that says you basically are my slave. Judith Regan out there at Satellite. Didn't you have a problem with this book? I mean, it's a horrible piece of writing. I mean, go ahead.
Well, it is a terrible piece of writing. I mean, my biggest issue with the book is that it's really badly written. There's been a lot of wonderful erotica that's been written historically. There was a piece of erotica written by a pope in the 14th century, the Marquis de Sade, Casanova, D.H. Lawrence, even Mark Twain wrote erotica. Lots and lots of people have written erotica. I don't really think this is erotica. I think it's kind of porn trash, and I didn't find it terribly interesting.
Romance erotica.
And what it reminded me of, I didn't find it romantic. What it reminded me of is the interview I did last week with Taylor Armstrong, who recounted to me, the Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, how her husband abused and controlled her, insulted her, the way she dressed, the way she spoke, wanted to control just about everything she was doing. And that's pretty much what this relationship in this book is about.
Well, not only that, this is what troubles me, is not only is there that sort of mind control issue that this guy is really good at. He grooms her, and he takes over her sense of her own control. She believes she's consensualist, but she has to sign a contract. I got to read you part of the contract. Here it is. It's so ridiculous. Here's what he says in this contract. There's pages and pages of it in this silly book. The dominant accepts the submissive as his own to control, dominate, and discipline. The dominant may discipline the submissive as necessary. The dominant may whip, spank, corporally punish submissive as he sees fit for purpose of discipline, for his own personal enjoyment, or for any other reason. The submissive accepts the dominant as her master. Blah, 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 blah. Here's my problem. My biggest problem is it's going into this BDSM material, and it's actually pathologizing it, Romney. It's making it. In this book. This is a book about a billionaire man who sweeps a young virgin off her feet, makes her sign a contract to be his submissive, and we find out in the course of the book that he was sexually abused at the age of 15. And this is all him acting out his pathology, as opposed to it being two consensual adults, which is fine. BDSM play is great.
It is
Well,
two consensual
did I
adults.
say that?
You know,
What did I just say?
You know what? I
What did I just say here?
like the contract, Drew. I like the contract.
You
'Cause you
do?
know what? They're putting into hard copy what's implicit anytime you walk into a bedroom with someone. In fact, I'd love to give people an informed consent on my first date with them. This is what I want you to do, and this is what I don't
Hold
want
on.
you to
My
do.
wife just said absolutely. Kind of a shiver went down my spine. Do we have to have contracts about what we're doing in our free time?
I think you have you have contracts when you after you get married.
We have a marital contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't. But in that we agree to
Do
be.
you have safe words?
Well, you know,
That may be too much
this
information.
isn't exciting to you, Drew? I mean, I understand.
It is. You don't understand. I don't understand. It's exciting to me. Here's what you said something to me when I asked at breakfast this morning. I said, well, "What do you think of this book?" She goes, "Oh, this guy was a great lover in this book." And I said, "Well, what? Why? Why is this guy a great lover in this book?"
Well, he's teaching her. She's a virgin, and he's very
Romney's
attractive
enthusiastically agreeing with you.
And he's very responsive to her needs. It's not just him tying her up and
I don't
beating
see him
her.
doing anything except telling her what he's going to do before he does it. That's the only thing unusual I see this guy doing in this book.
Well, right away, the second that they meet, there is a chemistry with them. She's as intrigued by him as he is by her. So when she's reading the contract and she's going line by line, she's actually kind of titillated or turned on by it and curious about it. And so when you get to the part, she actually removes some of the things that don't make sense to her. But the safe words, which is where you basically say, green for keep going, yellow for I'm getting uncomfortable, and red for stop. And if you use the red safe word, everything stops. So that is powerful to have that very basic
And she actually
terminology.
has more power than she knows. He even tells her, you have the power. If she'd say no to him,
I
against
say
anything, he would stop, and he'd want her more.
Judith, I say that's a Stockholm syndrome. I say that's how people who are in positions of power gain mind control over people who think they have the power, but they end up adopting the attitudes and thinking of the person who's dominant.
No, I
You're
do
totally
agree with you.
overthinking
And
this.
Totally. This is about sex and love and intrigue.
I'm not overthinking. Judith, tell me I'm not
I don't think it's
overthinking it.
about love at all. I don't think there is no love in this book at all. This is about controlling a woman who's innocent and taking her innocence away from her. And it's not a very good job. I mean, my issue with the book is it's really badly written. None of it was intriguing to me at all. I didn't find it in the least bit compelling. But it is fiction. It is fiction. And by the way, the British, and this is a British writer, have a long history of writing erotica and writing about S&M. A long, long history. In the late 18th century, they used to publish magazines about relationships.
But Judith,
like this.
but this is my point is this: in no way am I thinking this is an indictment of BDSM. This is an indictment of somebody who claims to be writing fiction, but is really writing very accurately about a severely pathological couple. Severe. Let me read you an excerpt from this book. Bend over the bench, he murmurs softly. Okay, I can do this. I bend over the smooth, soft leather. A lot of leather in this thing.
Fun.
A lot of
Fun.
fun.
That's
Okay,
kinda
fun,
fun.
ladies. He lifts the hem of my bathrobe and gently caresses my behind.
My
I close
God.
my eyes, bracing for the blow. It comes hard, snap across my backside. Really have to read this crap? Is this really making me read it? You like it?
You do. It's hot, especially when you've been married for a long time. You know, especially when you're in a monogamous relationship. You know, put a wig on, put some whips and handcuffs, and like stir it up a little bit. It's the two of you. You know what each other's limits are. You know you're not going to stray outside of the marriage. It works.
But, I just need to do one thing really quickly.
Uh-oh.
I need to apologize to my father and my mother-in-law right now.
For having this conversation?
I just want to let them know that, we're thinking
I
of
think
you.
it's really healthy to have active sex life in marriage.
I
and a
agree, and if
relationship.
this book helps people, I think it's fantastic. God bless them. It's great. It's just that it concerns me that what it is it takes and what might be getting into people's thinking about women, female empowerment, what's a healthy relationship.